The Houston Texans head to Jacksonville this week to face the Jaguars team coming off a gutting road defeat at the hands of the Minnesota Vikings. If you didn't see the end of that game, I mean, what an ending, what a game, what a brutal finish for those Jaguar players and coaches after they had thought they had won the game. The much-maligned Jaguars offense drove down the field in the last minute 30 of the game with no timeouts. Blaine Gabbert hit Cecil Shorts for an improbable touchdown pass. 20 seconds left in the game. It appears as though that was the game winner. Jags had won the game. However, a couple of pass plays later from the Vikings offense, from Christian Ponder and that Vikings offense, Blair Walsh was set up for a 55-yard field goal. He made that field goal, sending the game into overtime. Vikings then won the game in overtime. Like I said, a heartbreaking defeat for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got to lick their wounds and man up quick, though, because they come home this week to face a team that is no Minnesota Vikings. The Houston Texans are a lot of people's pick to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. And it looked like in Week 1, they were a Super Bowl-type team, dominating the Miami Dolphins in a 30-10 victory. Now, this Texans team has always relied on that offense. When everybody's healthy, they've got a great offense. Now, everybody staying healthy has been a problem for this team. It was a problem last year. It's been a problem in the past. But right now, everybody's healthy. Andre Johnson, one of the best wide receivers in the league, he's healthy. 8 catches, 119 yards last week. Matt Schaub, one of the better quarterbacks in the game, he's healthy. He was not playing at the end of last season. Of course, Arian Foster, one of the best running backs in the league, right in his prime. He's been healthy, really been the one constant for this offense. But the pieces are back in place for that offense now. And last year it was that defense that emerged, and that's why a lot of people are thinking now the Texans could be a legitimate threat, for the Super Bowl, because that defense that finished second in the league last year in total defense once again looked dominating in Week 1. Didn't look like they missed Mario Williams one bit. Of course, they played a lot without Williams due to his injury problems, so they were somewhat used to it, but they certainly look like they're going to be a top 5 type unit again. And the Dolphins are, let's face it, a bad team. A lot of teams are going to look good against the Dolphins this year. But the Jags aren't projected to be that great either. Jags had the worst offense in the league last year. They did have a good game against the Vikings. Now, they didn't have a real good game against the Vikings until that final drive. The offense was somewhat stale until that final drive, but when you look at the stats, Blaine Gabbert threw for 260 yards, his career game. He did what a lot of his critics said he couldn't do on that last drive, leading his team to victory. Didn't show any of the signs of lack of pocket presence or lack of courage that people accused him of last year. So a lot of hope and positivity, I feel like, for the Jags right now on offense. Maurice Jones-Drew back in the fold, 19 carries. Looked like pretty much his old self. Didn't look like there was too much rust on Maurice Jones-Drew. And now that Rashad Jennings is injured in Week 1, this is Maurice Jones-Drew's job 100% again. Remember, he didn't start last week. Rashad Jennings started due to Jones-Drew's lengthy holdout. But it's his deal again. They have Justin Blackmon out there now. Clearly the best wide receiver is on the team, even though he's a rookie. This guy is an impact player, a number 1 type wide receiver in the NFL. One of the better rookies, I expect in the league. If the Jags throw it to him enough, he'll have the chance to, do what A.J. Green did last year and really make an impact on the NFL scene as a rookie. That's the good news. The bad news, Jaguar fans, that defense that was 6th in the league last year didn't look like it against Minnesota. The Vikings were not projected to have a very good offense this season. We'll see how it plays out. The Vikings did accumulate nearly 400 yards on that Jaguars defense. They did collapse at the end of the game, allowing the Vikings to get in position for that field goal and then drive down the field in overtime. So Jags fans were banking on a defense that was really solid that last year to carry them again this year. Who knows if we're going to see that this week. Now, in this game, BETDAQ currently has Houston installed as a 7-point favorite. Total's not out yet. 41.5 the total in Vegas is going to be somewhere in that area on BETDAQ. I do expect a low-scoring game here, and quite frankly, I do expect the favorite Houston Texans to cover here. Texans -7 can be had at 195 as we tape this on BETDAQ. I do think that's a good bet. Texans been a great team to back recently on the road, 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 road games. Even though the Jags played well last week, I'm not a believer in the Jags, at least not when they're going up against a team quality like the Houston Texans. This game has gone up to 8, 9, some places. It is 7 at BETDAQ. Again, Houston -7 can be had at 195. Also, the under, in my opinion, might be a reasonable bet here. Again, total's not out yet on BETDAQ. 41.5 is that total out in Vegas. I do expect this Texans defense to limit that Jaguars offense, and I think the Jags defense is going to play better this week. Texans have a lot better offense in Minnesota, but the Jags have the same players as last year, same coordinator, Mel Tucker, and I expect them to play with a little pride in front of their home crowd this week. So look for a low-scoring game. I do look for the Houston Texans to win this game. But hey, like I said, I think there's a lot of hope for Jags fans after last week's game with the way Blaine Gabbert played. Now that Jones-Drew's back in the fold, maybe the Jags could surprise some people down the road this year. I just don't think it'll be this week.